I wanted to get into the targets briefly. There are a lot of them. There's 169 of them, so we won't be going into them too deeply. But let me share this. So, as was said, there's 17 goals and 169 targets. So within each goal, there's a number of targets. Some have 5, some have 13. It's kind of almost more concise actions within each target, within each goal that you can look at, that you can work towards, that you can see if you're hitting, if you're not hitting. So it's a way of breaking down each goal into a more workable and manageable piece. So as a kind of example of how interconnected they are, I have this grid that shows you the overlap of the issues between the goals. So you'll see down the side, there's the numbers of the goals, and across the top are the targets. So goal 1 there has 5 targets, as you can see there, and every green box is a target that relates to the environment. So again, I chose the environment because it's where I stand, but there's within them, there's a myriad of targets that relate to social issues, to economic issues, but this is just an example for the environmental targets. So you can see then it really shows the crossover of issues and that overlap. And just as an example of some of those targets, so you'll see there in no poverty, one of the targets there is to build resilience of the poor and those in vulnerable situations and reduce their exposure and vulnerability to climate-related extreme events and other economic, social and environmental shocks and disasters. So even though that's under no poverty, they both overlap with environment there. So something that might relate to Ireland under that specific target might be around food scarcity. It could be around energy or heating needs, or it could be people affected by flooding who live in flood zones being affected more so than others by adverse weather. So you can see that there's a lot of issues that could be brought into that target. And I'll have a link down there that will be sent out to you as well, that you can explore all the targets. And it's just a nice handy way to look at them all. As I said, we're not getting into all of them. And they are also just some resources for you for later, which I had in there. We put together a worksheet that you can use as well. So let me get that. So this is all the targets in all of the in all of the goals. So down at the bottom, we have each page has a goal, and all the targets are listed out. So you could use this for many things, but you could use it to explore the targets, but then you could use it as well for your own work, for mapping your work to targets. So I have a few, sorry, it's all very large, zoomed in. It's making it a little bit difficult. I have a few columns here. So you can look at your no poverty target, number 1, having people living on less than eradicating people living on less than 1.25 a day. And so if that's applicable to you, you could put it in that you've achieved it already, that it's something you're working towards, it's not applicable, or if it's something you would think about putting something together with someone else, you could type in some notes about how you might go about that. So this worksheet will be sent out to all of you. I'll also put a link to it in the chat in a few minutes, and you can download it directly from here right now if you'd like, but it will be sent out in an Excel version for you. So it's useful for mapping your work to the targets, as I said, for finding common targets between diverse groups. And also when applying for funding, it would be useful if there is funding that is of a particular looking for a particular issue, you could go through it and actually say which targets you're working towards, that whatever you're applying for the funding for will will achieve or work towards achieving.